In the clip presented today on my YouTube channel, I will talk about air traffic control. How does it contribute to flight safety? Stay like this, but stay with me in the next few minutes to be up to date. If you've ever flown a plane, you've probably wondered how the pilot knows the route to take. And when you thought that dozens, even hundreds of planes are crossing the sky at the same time, you may have been a little worried. How come planes don't collide in flight? It is natural for passengers to ask such questions. However, statistics show that flying commercial aircraft is quite safe. In fact, it's safer than traveling by motorcycle or car. The air traffic control system plays an important role in flight safety. Aircraft management and flight safety. The aircraft commander is directly responsible for the safe piloting of the aircraft. However, most of the time, he does not see the planes flying near him, nor does he notice their presence. For this reason, in most countries there is an air traffic control system. Those who work at the ground control centers follow, based on the instrument flight rules, every stage of the flight. Samuel, who has been an air traffic controller in California for 13 years, says, air traffic controllers play an essential role in air traffic safety. Their main priority is to maintain the stagger between the planes in flight. Melba, who oversees an air traffic control center, adds, the most important factor is safety. However, it is also important to create a fast and orderly traffic flow. Therefore, air traffic controllers aim not only to prevent collisions, but also to ensure an orderly movement of planes. In other words, while in the cockpit the pilot takes care of his duties, on the ground a lot of eyes and ears follow the flight. The pilot communicates regularly through the radio station, not only with the controllers at the airport where he took off, and with those at the airport where he will land, but also with those at the control centers along the flight route. In today's era of high-speed aircraft, it is especially important to monitor what the pilot cannot see with the naked eye. Imagine two civilian airplanes heading towards each other. If the pilot saw the plane coming from the opposite direction, they would have only a few seconds to avoid the collision. Therefore, the air traffic controller's responsibility is to prevent such situations from occurring. Long before they see the other plane, the pilots receive the necessary instructions to keep a safe distance. Flight tracking. On the ground, radio directional means emit signals for directing aircraft. The pilot has the necessary instruments to receive the signals, knowing exactly where he is. Since the radio means are placed in well-established places, the planes have to fly from one radio means to another until they reach their destination. This is how air routes came into being. Air traffic controllers track the planes on these air routes. Before takeoff, pilots are required to complete a flight plan showing the route they intend to fly. Moreover, the controller has a copy of the flight plan. Salvador Rafael, Chief Air Traffic Controller, explains why this plan is useful. There are reporting points on the air routes. When he reaches them, the pilot must report the information to the controller, who will mark this on the flight plan. In this way, the controller can mentally follow the path taken by the plane. To receive this information, the controller uses the radio station. He knows where the plane is, and the pilot receives the necessary instructions to keep a safe distance from other planes. Controllers and pilots usually have several radio stations and frequencies available. If one of them falls, another can be used. But what about international flights, where language could be an obstacle? In order to avoid possible dangers generated by poor communication, the International Civil Aviation Organization decided that English should be the language used in aviation. In addition, since certain words, letters and numbers can be confused with each other when transmitted over the radio station, air traffic controllers are trained to use standard expressions and pronunciations when communicating with pilots. As an additional safety measure, pilots are required to repeat certain instructions given by controllers. Another tool used by air traffic controllers is radar. The radio waves reflected by the plane are received by a radar antenna. On the air traffic controller's radar screen, planes appear as objects or targets. Many aircraft are equipped with a transponder, which transmits an identification signal to the radar antenna. When this signal is combined with the information from the computer, the aircraft appears on the radar screen, along with the flight number, speed, altitude and aircraft type. If the controller considers it necessary for that plane to perform a maneuver to avoid a collision, it has several options. It can direct the pilot to change 1. Direction, 2. Speed, in case an aircraft overtakes another aircraft, or 3. Altitude, the most common method, used to separate aircraft from each other. There would be another element that contributes to flight safety. Many of the radar systems warn the controller when dangerous situations arise. For example, if the radar anticipates that two aircraft will get too close to each other, both visual and acoustic alarms are triggered. Another alarm is triggered if a passenger plane gets too close to the ground. Objective: flight safety. Steps have already been taken to implement a new air traffic control system. Ground navigation systems often limit flights to certain routes and altitudes. For this reason, part of the airspace is unused, and air routes are longer. In the future, flights will increasingly rely on satellite navigation systems, such as the Global Positioning System, GPS. This will allow greater flexibility in the choice of air routes, and will facilitate the control of transoceanic flights. As we have seen from our brief analysis, the pilot is not the only person who knows where the plane is at any given moment. In reality, many other people are monitoring that flight from the ground. This entire system has been created to minimize hazards and maximize safety. No wonder, therefore, that there are so few accidents with passenger planes. Therefore, if you are going to travel by plane, do not be afraid. Air traffic controllers are only eyes and ears to ensure that your flight is safe. So take your seats, relax and enjoy a pleasant journey.